me and my little friends will come out here. Hello, hey! All right, guys, we got a little stopping minute here. Let me talk to y'all a second about a couple of things. First of all, our tours are not orchestrated. We don't kind of go around and follow each other around a circle and come back to the dock and say, y'all have a good swamp tour? No. When we hunted alligators when we were younger, when you could make money doing it, can't do that anymore now, obviously. But, hello de la bateau! Hello! You have to first be able to find the gators. So, based on where the wind's blowing, sun position in the sky, tide falling or rising, water temperature, those kind of things, and our little computer up here, we kind of balance it all up and shake it up and say, okay, so we go and look at the places where they're most likely to be. Now, they're not pets, so they have a mind of their own. Right now, it's hot, okay? So where they're going to be is in the water under some of the grass. There's one of my boys. Ah, ça c'est bon, petit garçon. Allons. They're all the way in the back under that floaton back there, okay? That's what they're doing, trying to stay cool. It's too hot today. Now, all this grass you see is pieces of the solid marsh 5 miles away from here that was ripped up out of the earth on top of a 22-foot high tidal wave 6.5 months ago when Hurricane Ida came through. I'll tell you all a bit about that in a minute. Ah, ça c'est bon, petit garçon. Allons. So now y'all seen the real alligator. Look to your left, guys. Now, these guys are in the mating season. They're not eating right now, which means they're not sunning themselves very much. Anything that they eat, if their body temperature internally is not 78 degrees or better, won't digest, it'll just rot. Hello. Hey, boy. So, see if we go up there and get it on the island. So, these guys are all black and white. This is not a little baby. Hey, buddy. So, they're colorblind. Everything they eat is black and white. Oh, I'm sorry, it's white. The fish are white, the birds are white, the frog stomachs are white. Oh. Also, these guys can jump. Well, come on over here. They want to see you, not me. Hello. These guys can jump 2/3 of their body length. Now, this is an old timer here, so he doesn't need to jump, obviously. But he knows, okay, Mark, how baby? Yeah, he's 7 feet up here. It's mating season. I had a few issues with some other bigger gators here, and they kind of beat me up for the territory, but I'm still here and they're not.
So those scars?
Yes, ma'am, that's what those are. Now, hey, buddy, go on up there and get that one. I'm going to tease you one more time. He says, no, not with y'all watching. Hello, ça c'est bon. So, the distance from their eyes to their nose in inches is, that was what hiss was, hey, get out of my territory, my pond. Distance from the eyes to nose in inches. Try to keep that big guy not sick. Hello. You're scared of the big guy? I don't blame you, buddy. You got good sense. Come on, I don't want you to hit your face on the boat. Hello. Good boy. So, this guy's 10 inches from his eyes to his nose. That means he's approximately 10 foot long. Now, the reason that's important is when you hunt gators, what you usually see is just what you saw here, just their eyes and nose. Now you're looking down on me to see more of them, but from a distance, you see the silhouette of the eyes and nose. You shoot that gator, bing, and he's too small, you've killed a good animal for nothing. There's not enough meat in the tail, it's not enough, hide's not big enough for anything. You shoot one that's too big, you can't get in the pirogue by yourself when you're a teenager. Papa's gonna whip you behind when you get back to the house because you gotta go get him to come back with a big pirogue and help you get that 10-foot gator in that you should have not shot, but an 8-foot gator. So, now, next question is, what are they, male or female? Go ahead and get that treat over there. You know where it is. Come on, hello. There you go. There you go, good boy. Now these guys are not trained, by the way, okay? So, I mean, just luckily some, you know, they'll do some things. Oh, back to calling alligators, I'm sorry, I digress. Once you find the alligator, with all your weather calculations in your mind or whatever else, Then you have to go and keep going back to different areas at regular time and learn how to call these alligators. The purpose of calling gators is not to just, oh look, I can talk to the gators. No. The purpose is they build a relationship with the person who knows how to call that particular gator. When you call that gator and he comes, the other gators are going to come out from the marsh because they know he's not moving unless he's going to eat something. These guys don't expend any energy for anything other than eating or mating. They don't even drink whiskey. I don't know what that's about. But other than that, you know, I do all three. So anyhow, that being said, so the other alligators come out and find the one you call. And guess what that means? Pink, pink. Those are the ones you shoot. Once you get an alligator you can call and repetitively come to you, he's safe forever. As long as he's coming when you're calling, he's good to go. He'll bring his friends, and those are the ones you hunt. So that's why we learn to call alligators. Now, male or female? Everybody's over 18, even you? You're 18?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. I talk about alligator sex. I don't want nobody to know X-rated stuff here, okay? Male and female. They cannot tell physically until they get to be a certain length. If you need to sex an alligator, there's only one true way to do it. And there's a little orifice where the tail meets their body. You put your finger in, move it around. If it feels like a bowl, it's a female. If it's got a little bump, it's a male. Now, there's a challenge to that. They got all the teeth on the other end. Okay, so I don't know how y'all feel about somebody probing around in you. So we get the biologists to do that when we need to know those things, okay? That being said, though, after 35 million years of evolution, or revolution, whatever they may be doing, the females do not get larger than 7 feet in length. So, when you see an alligator that's 8 feet or bigger, you know it's a male. That's the only way you can tell. You guys have been so nice to come over here and see my little guest. I'm going to give y'all one little treat. See if I can get the big dog away from you and give you a treat over there too. Highly dangerous work, folks. All right, come on, big dog. Don't hit your head on the boat. Come on, come on. I don't want you to work too hard. Come on, buddy. So, they're colorblind. Everything they eat is black and white. Oh, I'm sorry. Good boy. You go get down. So, now, how old are they? Probably a good question to think about. They grow 1 foot a year for the first 3 years. And after that, the growth slows down to basically 6 inches a year. So, you can guess their age by how long they are, basically. Just do the math. Any questions so far, guys?
What's the name when they slap their tail on the water?
Mating season. They're putting sound waves out for the females to come see. They'll do 2 things also. They'll gurgle and bubble, and they'll take air in their bladders underwater and go woof, and sends a shock wave out a mile that the females can feel. And when they're on the surface, they'll bark, kind of like a chihuahua. Ah! Ah! One direction. They don't move their head around. So if they're facing this way, ah, ah, so they can figure out where that sound is coming from for the females to come. Pretty cool. All right, guys, I'm gonna take y'all some other places. There's some really cool stuff to see today, and we'll talk a little bit in each one. Okay, guys?
All right.
Yes, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, in terms of the one coming and the others following,
Yes.
they haven't evolved to kind of put together that that's a trap, or
Well, it's not a trap. They don't have to come.
right?
Well, we don't do that anymore. We don't hunt alligators anymore. See?
But even in the day, like,
You know, you would if they were raccoons, they could, talk to each other. Whatever way they do, they might explain it. But these guys are prehistoric.
Pretty simple animals, yeah.
It's just, they got just their routine, how they do. They sit and they wait for fish. They don't go chase anything to eat. They sit and wait for it to come by and they ambush it, ambush it, ambush it. And they get out, rest on the shoreline to warm their insides above 78, go back underwater, and kind of hope for fish to come by. And they get used to where the fish are, the same way that certain ones get used to where the alligator whisperer is. But yeah, that's a good question, a good point. Actually, that's the first time I've heard that question. It's a very good question.
The water bubbling back in that other little port,
Yes, ma'am.
is that a gas coming up? Because the smell did change.
That's farts.
Yep.
What that is, that's a methane gas. from the marsh,
So if they go and
from
put
the
it
rotting
there
leaves
for
and
3 years,
organic material and
and
whatnot.
then 6 inches every year.
All right, folks, let's go
Underwater
ahead and
swamp
ride.
cows.
Kind of, yeah. We're dinosaurs.
There's underwater swamp cows.
Oh.
We had a child that would be ruined.
What?
We had a child that would be ruined.
By the way, guys, you'll notice this piece of floaton just moving around when we lean on it. That is what the solid marsh is from the hurricane. But in front of us, that's shallower water. That floaton blew in here with the wind and actually rooted itself down. That will never go away. This canal used to go all the way back to that next set of tree lines. We can never go down this canal again. It'll never go away.
Look at him.
Okay guys, you see right here, this floaton here has also covered this bayou. And here's somebody we got going coming. Hello there! Hello to!
He said, come on, come to the boat.
Do they speak French?
Yeah, they speak French. That's
Hey,
why
guys.
he's talking French.
Yeah, they only speak French. That's because they're from the bayou.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a little.
C'est bon. Allons. Allons.
All right.
Oh, you that anxious for a treat from me? You little monster.
Oh, someone's waiting patiently over here. Oh, there.
No! Do not get on the boat with these people. Shame on you. Now, they're only aggressive. See, watch this. He thinks he's going to get another one. And they, Come on, open your mouth. Now, look at that one. So anyhow, guys, these guys do come when you call. Okay? Hey, buddy. Come on. There's a little one around here
Are
somewhere.
those the two that normally come all the time? Or,
Well,
can
they
you
go.
tell?
They go to different. Oh yeah, they go to different places. This one is a rotten egg. See, he always is begging me. When it's not something for him to climb on, he'll stand. He'll look at me.
You can tell by the marks on them?
Oh yeah. Now, they couldn't see where I threw that. You notice that? But they felt the vibration. Their eyes were on the side of their head, so they can't look straight out. All right, guys, let me take y'all someplace else because there's all kind of fun stuff to show you guys. Y'all have a good time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have a second.
I know.
They fell in love with this bayou on the right. We stayed here for 3 days up and down this bayou, filmed a video, and took it back to California. They digitized it to make an animated movie. Anybody have an idea idea what that might be. It's a love story in the bayou.
The Princess and the Frog?
Princess and the Frog, that's correct. Who wants to go in the Princess with the Frog with Captain Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Very few people get to do that. So let's go check this out.
All right.
That movie is running in my house.
Yeah.
your cell phones if y'all would. Level of geography lesson. Put your map program on and put it on the satellite picture. And somebody tell me what they see when they get there. Y'all gonna probably think this is kind of cool. In a bad way. You're right. It looks like solid land.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't want you to second guess yourself. What if you're crazy? You're right. When we turned left and came out here to this water, everything here was solid land 6.5 months ago. None of this water was here. 22-foot tidal wave came 30 miles south of us where the Gulf of Mexico is. Rolled in here and lifted the earth up like we just toys. 225 mile an hour sustained winds. The weather equipment broke here. Now, the feet where the water tower is, thank goodness a 22-foot wave got down to 10 foot. It's only 10 foot in people's houses. No big thing, right? 22 would have been a total disaster. West and 6 miles north and south. If you look over your left side, that's New Orleans. 30 miles away, the little clump of buildings over there. See it on the far horizon? Now, when I was younger, Lake Salvador had probably 30 or 40 oil wells, all through with gas wells drilled out of there. One of the later jobs they had was one with a crew boat, back to back, all the wells back and forth like that, bring people place to place. A lot of fun, easy job. However, Lake Salvador is shallow, about 12 feet deep. That means that it gets from nice to really nasty really fast. So, the wave height of any body of water can only be half the distance of the depth. If you're 100-foot seas, you can have 50-foot waves. But if you're 10-foot water depth, you can have 5-foot waves. As the waves get smaller, they get closer together, and they chop your beach to death. So, it's a little treacherous place of body of water. Now, the second largest body of water, lake like this in Louisiana, is Lake Pontchartrain. That's north of New Orleans. I live on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain now. And it's 24 miles north and south and 40 miles east and west. You can actually get lost in Lake Pontchartrain, an inside lake. If you don't know where you are, you can almost always, unless it's foggy, see the shoreline, and if you recognize, what you're looking at, you can get back anyhow. Now, this is the Intercoastal Waterway. The Intercoastal Waterway was done by the federal government for inland shipping trade, barges, and things like that from the refineries and small ship traffic, to bring freight in, because the Gulf of Mexico, which is 30 miles south of us, is the only way to get from west to east. And you can't get anything less than 150-foot supply boat or utility boat, anything smaller than that around there. And barges cannot go out there because the tow will bounce around and just break the tow, which happens very often. From here to the west goes to Brazos, Texas. From here to the east, it goes past Jones Point, around to the left, 18 miles, and it's a locking system to get into Mississippi River. You know what all NOLA lock does? The water's here in the river and the water's here in the lake. You come in, they pump it up with water so you can go out, and vice versa. So, you cross the river, go through the Harvey locks to the industrial locks on the other side of the river. Then you head eastbound, and it goes all the way to New York City. That's a long way. And it's not all inland like this, protected. Some of it's out in the Gulf, but it's like a 3 or 4 hour joint between here and there to get back in protected water. However, when you come out of Pensacola Bay, never fails, as soon as you come out of the Intercoastal Waterway out of Pensacola Bay, the Gulf is here, the beach and everybody hanging out and swimming is all on the left. When you come out, when the tides and winds are just right, and you got pushing 4 barges, it's going to break them all up. You got to go hunt around, fish them back one at a time, and cable them back together after you get through it. Nothing you can do about it. So sometimes you sit there 3 or 4 days waiting for the weather to change. But I've had it broken 3 or 4 times there too. Now, last thing I want to show you guys, excuse me. If we take you around Jones Point to the left here, bend, and I'm going to show you something really cool. It's the oldest graveyard in the south. It's got a 1,000-year-old Indian mound on it, which is really cool. Now, Anybody happen to notice that the power lines across here are broken? That's from the hurricane, needless to say. And guess what? 38 miles, no electricity. 6.5 months ago. Government's trying to figure out, well, do we want to put the cables back, or do we want to bury them underwater and take the towers down? We've only been here for 50 years. So they didn't come here in 50 years. I think the quickest, easiest, cheap thing to do is put the cables back together, you know? But no tell what's going to happen with that. Now, when things are normal, believe it or not, there's nothing uncommon to see 1 or 2 eagles' nests on each of these towers. Because it's such a high vantage point, they can see what they want to do and come down, and there's enough prey in the marsh and whatnot that it's an ideal thing. You don't even have to flap the wings, just kind of, okay, that was good, fly back with a snack. Somebody's water, guys? Okay, sure, no problem. So, any questions about any of that stuff, guys?
Are you talking about Ida?
Yes, ma'am, I'm talking about Ida. Nobody in New Orleans has any idea how bad it was down here. It's like,
I didn't realize.
this was just a little, it's just a little problem, you know, for the bayou.
Well,
You
I
know,
didn't realize it was that big a tidal wave.
yeah, it was incredible. Again, this all came from 6 miles away, and this is what got through the marsh. If you can imagine, again, by the time it got here, it was only 10 foot tall. But yeah, it's the most devastating storm we've ever had in history. Camille, on a large scale, is kind of what we're here. But again, 500 people, makes the news, damn storm, some pictures of houses knocked around, the roofs off. Okay, we're going to move on. Now, big cities, oh, let's work this for days and days and days, and FEMA and see if we can get some help in it. They're sending a Cajun Navy out, blah, blah, blah. But it's just, you know, just one of those kind of things, unfortunately. Again, 500 families, about 1,600 people total. And kind of strange, yeah, you know. Okay, guys, I'll take y'all to show y'all this burial ground, and then, of course, I've got to sneak on back through. And we'll have some time to talk, tell you about good restaurants and that kind of stuff. Y'all can ask some questions, anything you guys want. We having a good time? Is all I need to know. Yes?
Yes.
All right, good deal, guys. Let's put our headsets on and ease on along. historic Fleming Cemetery. So, the Indian mound you see is over 1,000 years old. Archaeologists' digs have gotten artifacts out of it. Now, anybody else see a cowboy movie with Indians in it? What about an Indian burial ground? It's sacred, is it not? White man walks on, what happens? Indian, nobody else. How them damn Christian got up in there, huh? I don't think no Indian buried no crib with no cross on top like that, no. So, 300 years ago, there were 150 American Indians here from two different tribes, the Choctaw and the Houma Indian tribe. They were brought here and dropped off, for whatever reason, in the middle of nowhere to die, I would imagine, because the same thing happened to the history of our people. About the same time, about 150, just coincidentally, Cajuns, at the time called Acadians, were dropped off down here basically to die. So what's that all about? Well, the Bohemian French Christians were sent out of France to the Canary Islands initially. Well, the time they were there, they married into each other's cultures and bloodlines and became the first influx with the French bloodline from outside sources, which were the Canary Islanders. Now, that being said, they left the Canary Islands at some point, 30, 40 years later perhaps, and went to Acadia, which is now called Nova Scotia. Well, everything was fine in Acadia. They were doing great, everything was working good, and all of a sudden, well, the English took over Acadia from the France and said, oh, we can't have these Frenchmen here if we try to take this territory over, control this. We can't trust these Frenchmen. So they took the Acadians, brought them down here and dumped them in southeast Louisiana. Well, after, again, we took the Native American bloodline in, at that point, I've got to make sure we don't get stuck in here windbound, guys, but I think we're so far not too bad to shake. Let me just bump us up just a hair here. This wind's blowing us a little bit. The Acadians ended up down here, and it didn't take them long, about 50 years as history tells it, that there was a new socioeconomic group of people down here called the Cajuns. They dropped the Acadians, shortened to Cajuns, and the American Indians and the people from Acadia are now basically one people. They're the Cajuns. Well, didn't take long over the next 100 years for them to bring white Europeans into the bloodline, Creoles, blacks, Spanish, Italian, German, and Portuguese. Over 100 years, those were all now the Cajun bloodline. We are the melting pot of everything. That's why our food is so good. Every little thing from everybody's culture was taken and put together in a couple pot. And we've learned, that, we've learned to spruce everything up to where we got some incredible food to eat. And this overall overwhelming charm of what our guys. We love people. We love you guys to come down here and see us and get to tell you our story and how, we a little crazy stuff. We do some silly stuff, but it's your fun. Now, you guys have also seen this graveyard, I can promise you, even though you may not have been here before. Of late, Interview with the Vampire filmed here. Sons of Anarchy, Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, action movies. Early movies, James Bond Live and Let Die movie about voodoo in New Orleans. Have any of you guys seen that? If you haven't seen it, you should see it. Live and Let Die, James Bond. Not because it's a James Bond kind of tongue-in-cheek secret agent movie, but you get to see things that I grew up with, from 70s, early 70s. The movie was filmed in 72. Talk about Cadillac convertibles, pimp hats, big long coats, disco bush hair, and orange, pink, and blue pants. It's cool to see all the side stuff that's in the movie. It really is neat. Okay, guys. Any other questions before we get stuck in here? We can't get out.
Who's the guy on the top of the mound?
Hang on just a minute, dear. Let me just move the boat one time.
Okay.
Well, we don't know, but they claim it's John Lafitte the pirate.
Oh.
It's not. He's not in Galveston, Texas, buried there. But that's what they say. It's John Lafitte the top of it. Okay.
throw it in the middle of that.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you don't
That's good.
like a 20?
Yeah, 20 each.
He-Man, stop it.
20 or 30. 20, I mean,
Guys, don't pay attention, Captain
30,
Kenny.
40 total.
He's just Captain Kenny.
I'm gonna add a 10. It's fine. Just tell
You lost bet.
Okay, you can just do 20. Either way.
That's some disrespect, guys.
No, I'm good. I'm decided generous.
All I've got is a 20. I don't know if I've got anything smaller. But
The wind only picked up about 20 knots.
Yeah, right.
I want to say only.
Where'd the wind come from? I don't know.
I'll
Keep you guys cool in there. I didn't want you guys to
I got 10. I got 10.
you know, to get
Do 10. I'll do my 20.
too chilly. Feel the temperature drop,
I
Kenny?
can do the.
Yeah, I know there was a cold front coming. I thought it was coming Friday.
Yeah, it's already coming through. It was nice. We got air conditioning out there when we went out to the pond.
Either way, I already got it out.
Yeah, they didn't get the upcharge for
I give you the
sunshine.
10.
No, can you believe they let me go like that? Thank you, buddy. Okay, guys. Any questions
Yeah.
now that we're here?
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kenny.
Along the Princess and the Frog section,
Yes.
are palm trees
Those are
local?
Those are not palm trees.
All right.
Those are called palmetto bushes. They don't ever grow into a tree, and they look like the same family, but they're actually not palm trees. They don't get more than bush size.
Okay.
But yeah, those are native to New Orleans.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did they film any of the water boy here? In the, I know it's